When I went to New York, I always stayed at the Plaza Hotel. I stayed there for 25 years and never once slept over at the Dakota. I wanted to give them their sense of privacy. I still haven't slept one night at the Dakota. Sometimes they would show up far too early in the morning for me. The phone would ring. "Hi, we're in the lobby and we're going to have split pea soup in the Edwardian room. Can you come down in 10 minutes? "I'm in my pajamas," I'd say, and John would joke, "No problem, nobody will notice you sitting with John and Yoko." We would have our split pea soup, gazing at the snow falling over Central Park beyond the huge glass windows of that timeless hotel. Often we'd walk back to the Dakota through the park, a distance of about 20 blocks. We did so on one Christmas day. I can't remember the year. I thought it was just going to be John, Yoko, and me. Then Paul and Linda McCartney appeared. They obviously had been invited, and John escorted them into the white room, the living room, and the 5 of us sat there. Because it was Christmas, there was a branch of a pine tree, maybe 2 feet long, that sprouted from a vase that had been placed in the center of the room. That was the Christmas decoration. Paul and Linda were charming. I didn't find the meeting or the conversation tense at all. Linda said, "Why don't we go up to Elaine's and have a Christmas meal together?" We did. The guests didn't see anything they liked on the menu, so Linda said that there was a great pizza place not far away. "Do you think Elaine would mind if we sent out for pizza?" Linda asked. I had the feeling that would be a social faux pas, but I also sensed that Elaine probably wouldn't ask the group to leave. The pizza was delivered, and we had our Christmas meal. We returned to the Dakota and sat for a while as the sun began to sink behind the downtown skyscrapers. The conversation became less rhythmic, the words more sparse. I was paying close attention to John and Paul and the way they looked at each other. It was a snapshot of 2 guys who altered the culture of the world forever through their words and music. But during this Christmas sunset, it was obvious to me that the 2 of them had run out of things to say to each other. After a while, Paul said something like, "I think it's time for us to go." Yoko would remain friends with Linda until the end of her life. Her last conversation with her was 2 weeks prior to Linda's passing. Yoko and Paul had yet to reach a comfort level with each other. John spoke with Paul after that Christmas, but I don't know if Paul ever returned to the Dakota. It was interesting to see them together in that environment, but sometimes the things of one's youth just wane after the sun has set a few too many times. For the record, when I interviewed John for Eyewitness News during a walk on the beach in Malibu, he told me, "The wounds have all been healed." During the last year of his life, John was just sailing. He was so affirmative and optimistic. He had a vision of the future. There was clearly a resurgence of the muse, and he spoke about his life with great enthusiasm. I would come to New York to attend the double fantasy sessions, and then we would take the tapes back to the Dakota, go up to the old bedroom late at night, and he'd play the demo tracks of the songs with a beaming smile on his face. He knew what they had created. In our private conversations, the Beatle he spoke of with the greatest degree of fondness was Ringo, and every tale he ever told me about him was filled with good humor and great recollections. Ringo held a dear place in his heart. After John's death, the first call we received from any of them was from Ringo. I took the call. I was in the Dakota. He was calling from a payphone outside of the airport and had just heard what happened. He said he and Barbara wished to be there. They were good with children and just wanted to come to the Dakota to be with Sean and comfort Yoko. Would I meet them a couple of blocks away and somehow walk them through the back gate, he asked. I did, and have never forgotten their generosity of spirit. John not only made music, he used the interview format to paint word pictures. He wrote books, created drawings, lithographs, assembled collages, marched in the street, took out full-page ads, rented billboards, spoke out publicly about everything, made movies, created bed-ins, contributed generously to causes he believed in, sometimes behaved outrageously, defied convention, added an essential link to the chain of musical expression, advanced the concept of house husbandry, provoked dialogue and debate, and commanded attention through revelation. It really didn't matter if you thought of him as saint or sinner, mediocre or brilliant, heroic or naive, a working-class hero or an isolated dreamer. Everybody had an opinion. He touched you. That's why people see him in a panorama. Because all this stuff went by in a 40-year lifespan, and we shared half that time with him. You can't get a handle on Lennon, which could be the reason we're still talking about him and wondering what might have been. We're still trying to make sense of it all. We know where and when it began. We remember how it ended, but we will never know why. He embodied the best and most idealistic moments of our youth, yet in some indefinable way, each of us who cared about what he represented are confronted with the inevitable erosion of spirit that is emblematic of his absence. I was blessed to have spent the time with him I did, and wish you could have done the same. But if the truth be told, you were never that far away.